Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about future tanks in the Super Test episode 2. So today we have 6 tanks to talk about. Of course, special thanks to twolinepush.com for letting me use their content. As I've said before, they're a very informative site that is quite good at letting us know future leaks and speculation in the game. So go check them out. The link in the description, there'll be a link in the description down below. And before we get into it, if war games related content floats your boat, please subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. Anyway, let's get into it. So we start off with the first tank destroyer. So it is tier 8, it's Italian, and it is the SMV CC-64 Vipera. So it's an Italian tank destroyer. It's tier 8 and it looks like it's got quite a big gun already looking at it. Anyway, it says the SMV CC-64 Vipera is the first Italian tank destroyer in the game. It is equipped with a 120mm gun with a 5-shell magazine. There is an 8-second loading time between shells and a total reload time of 36 seconds. The gun has an accuracy of .44, so not the most accurate in the world, an aiming time of 2.7 seconds, and can depress the gun 10 degrees. While standard armor-piercing shells penetrate 220mm of armor, special gold APCR rounds go through 264mm of armor. Damage per shot is 400 hit points. So the vehicle features reliable armor for its tier. The frontal hull armor is 210mm and the turret armor is 275mm. So relatively sturdy in the front. The turret traverse angle is limited to 90 degrees. The vehicle has a decent hit points pool of 1,400, a forward speed of 36 km/h, so not very fast, and specific power to weight ratio of 11.7 horsepower per ton. The Vipera is an assault tank destroyer designed for frontline battles. This vehicle plays almost like a tank with a cylindrical gun, I think it said. I think I keep getting that wrong, but let me know in the comments. But the 8-second reload time between shots and high damage per shot allow it to outplay many opponents in one-on-one combat. Don't forget about the Vipera's low speed, however, which prevents it from quickly reacting to changes in battle and moving between flanks, so choose your direction of attack in advance. So we'll look at the infograph for it. So firepower, it has a alpha damage of 400 for standard AP and gold APCR rounds, and 515 for HE. Armor penetration is 220 for AP, 264 for APCR, and 120 for HE. Reload time is 36 seconds for the whole mag. Reload 6 seconds for in between shells, and there are 5 shells in the chamber. Dispersion at 100 meters is 0.44, like I said, not very accurate. Aiming time is 2.7. Turret traverse speed is 20 degrees a second. Gun elevation and depression. Depression is -10, elevation is 20. Traverse angles is 90 degrees, and you have 50 shells in the ammo rack. So, firepower, it seems relatively, well, I'd say it causes a lot of damage. I'll give it that. For, like it said, it's going to be very good on hand-to-hand combat. Anyway, mobility. Maximum speed forwards is 36 km/h, and in reverse is 12 km/h. It has it has 600 horsepower and power to weight ratio of 11.7 horsepower per ton, which won't make it very well for going up hills. Hull traverse speed is 26 degrees a second. Survivability, we have total hit points of 1,400. Hull armor is 210 on the front, 100mm on the side, and 50mm on the rear. Turret armor 275 on the front, 160 on the sides, and 50mm on the rear. So very sturdy at the front. Even the hull's going to be able to deflect quite a few shots for you. View range is 360 meters and signal range is 750. So it carries 4 crewmen, which is the commander, gunner, driver, and loader. Shells, it has armor piercing rounds as standard, APCR rounds as gold, and your HE shells. So additional statistics, twolinepush.com occasionally give you some additional statistics which are quite useful about the vehicle. So, dispersion during turret rotation, 0.1, gun dispersion during hull movement, 0.25, gun dispersion during hull traverse, 0.1, dispersion after shot, 8, shell velocity, 975 for AP, 1150 for APCR and 902 for HE. Terrain resistances 1.1, 1.2 and 2.3 for soft, medium and hard respectively. Turret traverse angle is -45 and 45 degrees. So, Vipera. So I'm assuming this is, I don't know if this is the tier, I assume it's the tier 8 counterpart, or it might be premium, I don't know. I think it's just part of the tech tree counterpart. But, that already, that seems quite powerful for a tier 8 tank destroyer. The problem I see with all the tanks is the tanks that didn't exist, like the Progetto, the Barras, which are amazingly overpowered. You know, they weren't real, yet they are better than the real counterparts, which I don't understand. That shouldn't really be like that, let's be honest, it shouldn't. Anyway, next we have a tank, which is an American tank destroyer at tier 9, the TL-720. So, the TL-720. This tank destroyer combines the advantages of both classic anti-tank guns and mobile medium tanks. The effective frontal armour in the hull is 100mm, and the turret armour thickness is 200mm. The vehicle's... oh, so that's not amazingly well armoured. The vehicle's durability is 1,500 hit points. It's also worth mentioning that it has a high maximum speed of 60 km an hour, with a specific power to weight ratio of 18.6 horsepower per tonne. The vehicle features a 4-shell reloading system and a damage per shot of 360 hit points alpha damage. Reloading a full magazine takes 33 seconds, while the reload between each shot is 2 seconds. Aiming time is 2.1 seconds, dispersion is 0.35, and its standard AP shells can penetrate through 252mm armour, while the penetration of the gold APCR rounds is 315. The TL-720 can just as easily sharpshoot from long distances as it can provide mid-range fire support to allied medium and heavy tanks. So, I'll give it that it's very quick, very mobile, but its armour is lackluster to say the least. So, firepower, it causes an alpha damage of 360 for your standard and gold rounds and 460 for your HE. Armour penetration is 252 for AP, 315 for your gold APCR rounds, and 105 for your HE. Reload time is 33 seconds for the whole mag, 2 seconds for intra-click reload, and 4 seconds, sorry, you have 4 shells in the chamber. Dispersion at 100 meters is 0.35, so it's not the worst accuracy. Aiming time is 2.1 seconds, touch reverse speed 24 degrees a second. Gun elevation and depression. Depression is -10 and elevation is 15 degrees. Ammo capacity is 36 rounds in the ammo rack. I don't know if about you, but I remember the days where the depression was never always -10. It seems that a lot of tanks these days are getting good depression angles for the gun, but that's just me. Mobility. Maximum speed forwards is 60 km an hour and in reverse is 20 km an hour. It has a power of 520 horsepower, which is weak. Its power to weight ratio is 18.6 horsepower per tonne, and hull traverse speed is 45 degrees a second. Survivability, total hit points is 1,500. Hull armour is 100mm on the front, 50mm on the side, and 45mm at the rear. Turret armour is 200mm on the front, 80mm on the side, and 50mm on the rear. So, yeah, not very well armoured. View range, 380 meters. View range is 380 meters, and signal range is 745. So it carries 4 crewmen again, which is the commander, gunner, driver, and loader, and it has standard armor-piercing rounds and gold armor-piercing composite rigid rounds and your HE rounds. So no additional statistics for this tank, unfortunately, but we shall move on to the next tank after my thoughts. Well, it's American. It's an American tank destroyer, which I suppose it might make a good crew trainer, I suppose. But I can't see it being, but even then I can't see it being a good crew trainer because the American tech tree tends, the tier 9 counterpart takes, which is the T30 I think it is, takes a lot of, well, it takes more crew than that. I think it's got 2 loaders. But, you know, it's just a premium tank destroyer, I believe. But don't quote me on that one. Next we have a Soviet medium tank at tier 9, which is the K91 version 2. So the K91 version 2 has already been at the super test, but the vehicle has undergone a rebalance within the current test iteration. The tank is equipped with a 100mm gun that causes 300 hit points of damage per shot. The penetration value of the standard shell is 248mm, while the special heat rounds go through 320mm of armour. That's going to go through an awful lot, well, most things that it sees. It has an aiming time of 2.1 seconds, a dispersion of 0.35, and a reload time of 7.2 seconds. However, the vehicle cannot boast of its protection. The frontal hull armour reaches 110mm, while the turret armour is 220. The vehicle's durability is 1600 hit points. It has a top speed of 55 km an hour, and its power to weight ratio is 18.9 horsepower per tonne. So, the firepower characteristics and poor armouring make the K91 version 2 a good medium to long distance fighter. The vehicle's low profile makes it a hard target for enemies, while its good mobility allows it to change flanks easily. So, K91 version 2, we'll look at the infograph now. So, damage, it causes 300 alpha damage for AP and heat rounds, 400 for HE rounds though. Armor penetration is 248 for the AP, standard AP rounds, and 320, like I said before, for the heat rounds, which will go through near enough everything you see on the battlefield. And it's only 50mm penetration for your HE rounds. Reload time is 7.2 seconds, dispersion at 100 meters is 0.35, aiming time is 2.1 seconds, turret traverse speed is 45 degrees a second, gun depression is minus 6 degrees, and elevation is 20 degrees, and you can carry 55 rounds at any one time. Mobility. Maximum speed forwards is 55 km an hour, backward speed is 20 km an hour. It has quite a nice amount of power, which is 900 horsepower, which will help you get up a hill quite well, and power to weight ratio is 18.9 horsepower per tonne. Ultraverse speed is 50 degrees a second. So, mobile and probably quite good at getting up a hill compared to the other tanks we've looked at already. Survivability. Total hit points is 1600 hit points. Hull armour is 100mm on the front, 60mm on the side, and 45mm on the back. Turret armour is 220mm on the front, 90mm on the side, and 60mm on the rear. View range is 390 meters, and signal range is 730. Crew, it carries 4 crewmen, which is the same as the previous tanks. It's the commander, gunner, driver, and loader. So shells, it carries armor-piercing rounds as standard, high-explosive anti-tank rounds as your gold rounds, and HE rounds. So the K91 version 2, to me, that seems like a relatively well-balanced tank actually. It's not like the Italian tank destroyer we've already looked at, which, I'm going to be honest, seems a tad overpowered. But this one seems actually relatively alright, except perhaps that its guns are quite, well, even then its gun's not exactly amazingly powerful. So the only thing it's powerful at is its penetration values are quite good. But anyway, next we have a tank that I don't think anyone's actually interested in, but I'll talk about it anyway. It's the T26 Chinese variant. So the Chinese T26CN light tank will soon head to the super test. It's armed with a 45mm gun. Damage per shot is 47 hit points. Penetration with a standard armor piercing shell is 51mm, 88mm with a special armor piercing composite rigid round. Reload time is 2.3 seconds. Gun accuracy is 0.46 meters. Aiming time is 2.3 seconds. Engine power is 90 horsepower. And specific power to weight ratio is 9.4 horsepower per tonne. Top forward speed is 36 km an hour. So the T26CN is a classic low-tier light tank with a gameplay similar to that of the researchable Soviet T26. So, twolinepush.com here have just put low-tier vehicles haven't been outright sold for a while, so this is likely to be a Holiday Ops 2023 loot box vehicle, which is true, it might be. Or it might be possibly a reward tank, you know, like the annual rewards, or something like that, I don't know. Who knows, we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. I mean, I don't think anyone's actually going to be bothered by it, like. So, it's probably going to be an annual reward tank. Firepower, it does damage of 47 for AP and APCR, and 62 for HE. Penetration is 51 for AP, 88 for APCR, and 23 for HE. Reload time is 2.3 seconds, aiming time is 2.3 seconds, dispersion of 100 meters, 0.46. Gun depression is -8, elevation is 25, and you can carry 270 rounds of ammo in the tank. Mobility is maximum forward 36, maximum reverse is 15, power is 90 horsepower, power to weight ratio is 9.4 horsepower per ton, ultra reverse speed is 52 degrees a second, and touch reverse speed is 44 degrees a second. So survivability, total hit points of 340 hit points, full armor is 15mm all round, and that goes for the turret also. View range is 280 meters and signal range is 300 meters. So it carries 3 crewmen, which is the commander, gunner and driver, and it carries armor piercing shells as standard, armor piercing composite rigid as gold, and HE shells as HE. So next we have the Minotauro. So the this tier 10 Italian tank destroyer, the Controcarro 3 Minotauro. So the Controcarro 3 Minotauro is the top vehicle of the new Italian tank destroyer branch. It allows for both mid and close range gameplay starting from tier 7. All vehicles will be armed with an auto-loading gun, but not quite what your regular one. Its function and principle differ from the classic guns you're familiar with. Let's look at the example of the Controcarro 3 Minotauro. The vehicle is armed with a 130mm gun with a 5-shell auto-loader loading time which takes 8 seconds, and magazine reload takes 24 seconds. That's quite fast actually for a 5-round auto-loader. The armor penetration of the standard shell is 255, while the special heat round goes through 345mm of armor. Damage per shot is 530 hit points. The vehicle is well protected for its tier. The front hull and turret armor reach 300mm. Turret traverse angle is limited to 90 degrees though, like the tier 8 variant. Durability is 2100 hit points. Top forward speed is 36 km an hour, and specific power to weight ratio is 12.2 horsepower per ton. When looking at the vehicle's characteristics for the first time, you might think that the Controcarro 3 Minotauro is a standard tank destroyer and there's nothing special about it, but that's not true. Being well armoured, you can deflect most of your opponent's shells, good gun depression angles, and a rotating turret also allows you to take non-standard positions using the map terrain and other objects to increase your advantage. The 130mm gun with a 5-shell autoloader deserves a special mention. Loading time between shells is 8 seconds. So, quite lengthy, but I suppose it makes up for that enormously with its whole magazine reload time of 24 seconds, which gives us the chance to win almost any duel. If you compare the Italian tank destroyer with other vehicles in our game by the same characteristics, you can see that the vehicle doesn't sacrifice a long reload time for the opportunity to cause high damage per shot within short periods of time. So keep in mind that the Minotauro is equipped with an auto-loading gun, which gives us the advantage and decreases the cost of a mistake in case we fail to penetrate the enemy's armour. Its quick reload, magazine reload, just 24 seconds, is also an advantage, allowing us to get back to business quickly. Unlike other tier 10 tank destroyers like the Foch B and Foch 155 that take 38 and 50 seconds respectively to reload their clips. So yes, I'll agree, it's 24 seconds for the whole magazine is very good. 8 seconds between shells is slow to be fair for an autoloader, but I suppose that's why it's got quite a short full magazine reload. Anyway, so infograph, we started with firepower. Damage, it's got 530 alpha for AP and heat rounds, and 700 for HE. Arm penetration, 255 for AP and 345 for heat, and 130 for HE. Reload time is 24 seconds for the full mag. Reload time is 8 seconds for intricate reload, and you can carry 5 shells in the chamber at any one time. Dispersion at 100 meters is 0.44, aiming time is 2.3 seconds, depression is -10, and elevation is 20 degrees. Traverse angles is 90 degrees for your turret, and ammo capacity is 50. You can carry 50 shells in the whole tank. Ability, max speed forwards 36 km an hour, and in reverse is 12 km an hour. Power, it has 700 horsepower, so it's effective at keeping its speed, relatively. Specific power to weight ratio is 12.2 horsepower per ton. Ultra reverse speed is 24 degrees a second, and touch reverse speed is 18 degrees a second. Survivability, total hit points 2,100 hit points. Hull armor is 300 on the front, 75 on the sides, and 45 on the rear. And the turret armor is the same, except the rear is 50mm instead of 45. View range is 390 and signal range is 745. right, that is extremely well armoured. To me, that is just like a Badger. Or, you know, like the American tank destroyer. But it's not. That to me seems overpowered already. That's got a very high alpha, 5-round auto loader with quite a quick reload time, and you're pretty much invincible from the front. That's a bit worrying, really, in some respects. So it carries 4 crewmen, which is the the commander, gunner, driver, and loader, and has AP shells as standard, heat rounds as gold, and your HE shells. So additional statistics: dispersion during turret rotation is 0.04, gun dispersion during hull movement is 0.2, gun dispersion during hull traverse is 0.1, dispersion after shot is 8, shell velocity is 1,303 for AP rounds, 1,256 for heat rounds, and 720 for HE. Terrain resistances is 1.1, 1.2, and 2.3 for soft, medium, and hard respectively. So, the Minotauro, like I said, I think that's over. That needs nerfing already, I think. Perhaps to the firepower. Like, granted, it's got pretty poor dispersion, but that's still quite powerful for a tank of its type. Anyway, next we have the final tank of this video, which is the Controcarro Mark II. It's an Italian tier 9 tank destroyer, which I think is part of the tech tree as well. But already looking at the vehicle itself and the little picture they're giving us, it looks like it looks like the Italians didn't paint it properly. It looks like it was sort of made out of sand or something. Anyway, the SUPERTEST will soon host the Italian Yes, it is for the tank destroyer tech tree. The T9 representative of the new Italian tank destroyer's tech tree branch. This allows for both mid and close range combat. This vehicle allows for both mid and close range combat, starting from tier 7. All vehicles will be armed with an auto-loading gun, but this particular gun will work a bit differently from the classic guns you're familiar with. When comparing the gun characteristics of an Italian tank destroyer with those of other vehicles in our game, you'll see that this vehicle can quickly reload its magazine and cause high damage per shot, all without the need for a long reload time. The vehicle boasts an 127mm gun with a 4-shell autoloader. Loading time takes between shells takes 10 seconds, with an overall loading time of 24 seconds. The armor penetration of a standard APCR shell is 255mm, while a special heat round goes through 325mm of armor. Damage per shot is 490 hit points. The vehicle features a reliable armor for its tier. The front hull and turret armor reaches 290mm, so again very tough. The turret traverse angle is limited to 80 degrees. Durability is 1,800 hit points, top forward speed is 35 km/h, and power to weight ratio is 13.1 horsepower per ton. The Controcarro Mark II will have a similar gameplay to the top tier of the branch with the same strengths and weaknesses, but on a lower tier. So we look at the infograph. Firepower is very similar to the tier 10 counterpart, except it's only got 4 rounds in its magazine. Everything else is pretty much the same, except the turret traverse angle, which is only 80 degrees. So mobility is similar. So maximum forward speed is 35 kilometers forward, and in reverse is 10 kilometers. Power is 700 horsepower. Power to weight ratio 13.1 horsepower per ton. Hull traverse speed 22 degrees a second, and turret traverse speed is 18 degrees a second. Survivability, total hit points of 1,800. Turret armor is 290, 290 on the front, 70 on the side, and 40 on the rear. So that's the same for the turret. View range is 380 meters, and signal range is 750 meters. Crew, it carries 4 crewmen again, which is the commander, gunner, driver, and loader. Its shells, it carries APCR as standard, so that's good I suppose. Heat rounds as your gold, and HE for HE. So additional statistics: dispersion during turret rotation is 0.24, gun dispersion during hull movement is 0.22, gun dispersion during hull traverse is 0.1, dispersion after shot is 8, shell velocity is 1,252 for APCR, 756 for heat, and 756 for HE. Terrain resistances is 1.4, 1.6, and 3.2 for soft, medium, and hard. I breathe. Anyway, right, so the Controcarro Mark II. This tank again just seems like a tier 9 variant of the tier 10, so again, same sort of opinion. it needs nerfing, but other than that, well, that is it for this video. I mean, I do think the Italian tank destroyers need nerfing, but other than that, the other tanks look good. I like the American tank destroyer and the Soviet one. I mean, I don't think anyone cares about the T-26 Chinese variant, but you know, we'll gloss over that. Small matter. Anyway, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I think this video is actually a little shorter than the other one because there's one less tank, so that's good. If you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button, and if war games related content is your thing, please subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel out enormously, and I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers for my first little goal, so if that could happen, then I would be thrilled. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.